Denise, you had a bit of a moment on Saturday.
I did, and I posted about it, and I'm glad that I did because of the response from people suffering. But I'm currently in Calander Girls in a musical on tour, and on Saturday afternoon during the matinee, I had the first panic attack on stage that I've had for years. I've been very open over the years, as all of you have to suffer me going on about my issues with mental illness and depression. And but mostly, I've been free of it for about a year, and mostly my episodes are of clinical depression. So the panic and anxiety is something that seemed to go some time ago. Anyway, in a nutshell, I've had a virus, which lots of people have had. I've still got it, it won't go. So I feel, because my head feels really full of physical poorly, I feel there's a slight detachment. But on stage, it became very frightening. And it started off, I've been doing this play for 8 months now. It's like falling off a log. I get on there, I know my lines, I don't even think about anything. But I went on Saturday afternoon, having done a couple of shows before where I felt not so good. Lots of people have been physically poorly, I hasten to add, not just me. Anyway, I just got it in my mind. I started to project, and I know when I'm going to have a depressive element to my life, I start to project about things I can't control. But this was contained to within the show. So normally the lines...
So it was literally as you were on stage. You didn't have any sign before you went on stage?
Well, I'd done a couple of shows, I'd done the show the night before and the night before that, where I'd felt detached because I felt poorly. So I had to maybe concentrate a bit more. But this time I started to project, and rather than being in the moment and just letting the words happen, because we know this back to front, you know, it's a show we love and we know it back to front. I started to think ahead and think, I can't remember that lyric of the song, I can't remember the line, I can't remember the line. And this got out of control, and suddenly I'd find that I literally was about to start a line that I felt I couldn't remember, and then the word would come out. So rather than my mind making the connection, it was just like it was, you know, sort of a reflex. And I could feel the old horrors, and I'm sweaty Betty at the best of times anyway, as you well know. But I felt that, and I felt my heart racing and my throat closing up.
How are you now talking about it? Are you reliving it now? Are you okay to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm absolutely fine. And I had a lot of support. There was a couple of people on stage who noticed. So there's some lovely people in that show. And there's a couple of people who noticed. I'm grateful that the audience didn't notice, because I'm experienced in dealing with these things well enough, I think, to cover it.
So but how did they notice? Like just a look in your eye?
There was a look in my eye, and they could see that I was heavy breathing, and they could see that I was getting tearful, and there was just a shoulder, a hand came onto my shoulder, and I was in quite a distressed state, because I then went off stage and I was like this, and I knew I had just a little bit more to go on, which is the sort of the end bit when everything comes together. And again, these lines come to me automatically, and I was convinced I was going to forget, and then I was convinced I was going to fall. It was the weirdest, most horrible thing. I went off, and then I had people came with me to my dressing room. I was in a state, and I didn't have to go on. Nobody made me. I have a wonderful understudy, but I did go on that night because I felt if I didn't, it would become a thing. Yeah. So the way I deal with panic, and it doesn't always work, is I treated it like a separate entity. So I can't swear on this show, but believe you me, I used every swear word under the sun. And it's like, I know you're here, and I know you're coming on stage with me, but you are in no way going to stop me doing this. And I had to, that's how I dealt with it and got through.
You've had a panic attack as well.
Do you know what? Yes, I have, years ago, well, about 5 or 6 years ago, and I'd never really understood them up till that point. I'd never really... You know, when someone said, I have a panic attack, and you sit there and think, well, why? What are you panicking about?
A lot of people think it's like butterflies when you're really nervous about something.
Literally, and my sister Linda suffers really badly with them, and we can be watching a film, but now, like you, she knows when they're coming on, she knows how to control them. We'll be just watching a film, chatting away, and all of a sudden she'll start breathing, and I go, what? And she'll go, I'm about to have a panic attack. So it was like coming out of nowhere. Until I had it, I never really understood it. Mine came out of nowhere, and honestly, I thought I was going to die. It's the worst feeling I've ever had. And you're looking around at people thinking,
I've always said, trying to give an analogy of it, it's like if you're about to have a car crash, or you think you are, and your heart starts to race, and the lorry goes past, and you pull into the lay-by, and you haven't had the crash, and you eventually calm down. It's like that for no reason, never stopping.
Yes,
That's, you know.
That's a really good analogy. And we just have to say as well, you wanted to talk about this today.
I did, because
just put it out there that it's
the
something
reason
that
that
so
I
many people
posted about it
experience.
is because I think that in this day and age where everybody thinks that everybody else is living this wonderful life, I think if you're going to post about those sides of your life as someone who tries to be a mental health advocate, you've also got to share when you're poorly as well, so that other people don't feel so alone, because there's a lot of people that don't have a voice.
Very good idea.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Well, I hope you get over your virus. I'm not
Thank
saying I
you,
hope you get
Pet.
over panic attacks, because someone who I regularly suffer
know
them,
you-
and to hear you say it was 6 years ago, you're so lucky. It's really difficult. So well done for even talking about it today. And that's why I didn't join in on the conversation,
know
because
you
even
did.
if I
It's a
talk about
trigger
it, then
for you.
I'll have one on live TV,
move on,
and we've
move
got a
on,
whole
move
show to do.